One of my favorite things in Star Rail is the fact that we have boss battles that are against characters that we have within our playable roster. So we can fight characters such as Japard, Bronya, Argenti, we can fight Adventurine, we can fight Mr. Zverog, Stellaron Hunter, Sam, and in all honesty, that is absolutely sick and it makes me incredibly happy. So being able to see this roster keep on expanding patch after patch is one of my favorite things of all time. So it got me thinking, what if they added more characters to this roster? What if every character was part of this roster of boss fights? So I decided to compile a sort of tier list and try to put them in how serious would I take them if they were to be a boss fight within the world of Star Rail. That being said, this is all up to my opinion, and it is bound to change depending on the lore and gameplay wise. So do take things that I say with a grain of salt, and it is subject to change. Also, if you disagree, that is perfectly fine. And I'm bound to make mistakes, so please feel free to correct me in the comments. Also, you might notice that my voice sounds very weird today. It is because I am sick, so I do apologize if I start dying in the middle of this recording. So with all that being said, let us see where I would rank all the characters of Star Rail if they were bosses. Alright, you know what? Since we started mentioning how there were some characters that are already boss fights within the game, I feel like it would be an absolute crime not to put Japard and Argenti in obstacles. And I know that you all probably are already out here with your pitchforks and out to attack me, but hear me out for a second. Realistically speaking, right? Japard would be a major threat, and Argenti would either be a major threat if not an in-game content boss. That being said, Japard does not even have his own OST, and when did we fight Japard? We fought him as soon as we arrived to Belobog. We fought him when we had to go over to... When we fought him when we needed to access to fight Cocolia, so he was a stepping stone for us to actually fight Cocolia, and then he was a secret boss fight in like a mini subquest boss fight within like a side quest in Belobog with like a little robot that gives you like side quests. Argenti, on the other hand, we fought him 4 times within the story, and the reason why I'm saying he's an obstacle is because so far he hasn't given us his full strength. Because right now we fought him at the Astral Express when he was like, oh, let us spar real quick, and depending on like, you know, who the victor is, we will see like the true beauty of things or whatever, right? But he never really fought us seriously, I think. We fought him at Penacony, which was for like a TV show, which again, I don't think he was trying to hurt us. And then we fought him twice at the Xianzhou Lao Fu, which one of them was at the War Dance and one of them was in the Yun Li story quest, which none of them really, I think he was out there to hurt us. So again, I don't think he's taking us seriously, therefore I don't think he's out with his entire power. So in this current day and age, Argenti hasn't shown us his true power, therefore currently he's just an obstacle for us to beat for the sake of the story. I do want to say that I love how I mentioned once that, oh, I love Argenti's OST, and I wish I had more excuses to listen to it, and then Hoyoverse decided to make him Mr. Worldwide, and make him, make us fight him everywhere. Like, my goodness me, it was insane, but I'm not complaining because I'm very happy finding him. But moving on, the next character I do want to talk about is Dan Heng, which, in all honesty, I'm gonna put immediately in major threat. Because as a whole, he's very capable of doing a lot of damage. But in this latest patch, I just adore the fact that for those that did the 2.5 story quest, right? And this is a little spoiler, I'm gonna give time for people to skip forward for a moment, right? I just adore the fact that there was that one videographer guy that it just goes to him was like, as part of the alliance, you can't hurt me. And then Dana goes like, well, it sucks to be you because I'm no longer part of the alliance. And then he absolutely destroyed the ever-living hell out of him. So just for that, he's a major threat. And for obvious reasons, Unavailable Lune would be an endgame content kind of boss fight. Up next, I feel like, you know what, let's just get rid of a couple grunts. Grunts would just be characters that, like, sure, they would do damage, but, like, in the grand scheme of things, they really wouldn't. I feel like they really wouldn't do much. Yeah, like, both Hook and Qingque, they would be there, they would help, but realistically, they wouldn't do much. And speaking of people that wouldn't do much, this isn't to shit talk Dr. Ratio, right? But he would not be a threat. The reason why I say Dr. Ratio would not be a threat is not because he's not strong. Have you seen his biceps? Have you seen how smart he is? I feel like Dr. Ratio would assess the situation, be like, nah, and then he would just leave. He would just decide to not fight. I feel like he not because he's a coward or anything, he just wouldn't be bothered to fight, if that makes sense. And it's because, not because he's a coward or anything like that, he just would decide that we're not worthy of his time, and then just dip. So, I'm just gonna give that to Dr. Ratio. Alright, one quick dying break later, I realized that I forgot to add one extra segment into this tier list, which I'm gonna denote it with the color purple, and I'm gonna add it to a row below over here, which is gonna be, well, I did not, okay, you know what, I'm gonna move, I wanted the color to be down over here, there we go. I'm gonna put this as major threat, and this one is gonna be like supports, because this is immediately where characters like Bronya would go, because they wouldn't be strong bosses themselves, but they would definitely make boss fights annoying. Similarly, I feel like characters like Pela would go in here, Bailu, who doesn't really know how to fight, but would, be obnoxiously healing the opponent, would absolutely go in here. And where are you? Silverwolf absolutely would go here as well. So they would just be very rough to deal with. As a matter of fact, you know what? Let's just add one more while we're at it, because I just saw Huohuo there. Just Huohuo and Mr. Tail. Like, all these individuals would just absolutely love to make your life absolutely miserable. Okay, moving on. You know what? I have seen somebody else out of the peak of my eye, and I need to make one extra section, and it's gonna be adding a row below, which is gonna be here, and it's gonna be less than not even a threat, doesn't exist. And sadly, in this row, Gallagher, Misha, and where is Tingyun? Okay, we just immediately delete those three because they can't hurt us. They're dead. I'm sorry, but just like, okay, realistically speaking, right? Like, if they could bring Gallagher back from the dead, like I genuinely think Gallagher would be a major threat, if not an endgame character. But like, for the time being, he's gone. He can't do us any harm, and I'm upset about that because legitimately he's one of my favorite characters of all time. Sadly, he has to remain 5 feet under. Or 6 feet under is like the actual like denomination of the term. You know what? I feel like I also have skipped. I'm surprised I have actually gone this far without talking about other members of the Astral Express. So as a whole, you know what? Obviously, like the main characters obviously would be endgame characters. March 7th is riddled with mystery. So, either a major threat, I want to say major threat until she unlocks her final form, and then endgame content. But for the time being, just major threat. Wells would be 100% an endgame character. And you know what? I need to add. I'm just expanding every single one of these over and over again, but I feel like I have to. And this is gonna be trauma. This one, I'm gonna add as a like purely for the sake of trauma. Himeko. If we have to fight Himeko as a boss fight at any point in time, know that you are going to stress the entire Hoyoverse community. And I say that specifically because, like, she already died in Honkai Impact 3rd, right? So, you know what would be really fucked up? If we have to fight against Himeko in a boss fight, and then you bring out a remixed version of the song with which she died with. Just do that, Hoyo, and watch as you make your players suffer. It would be absolutely epic. And these are the reasons why I shouldn't be a game designer, because I would make people suffer. Like, I don't think anybody wants that, except for me. Like, I would want that for the sake of the angst that it would cause, and people screaming all over, like, social media that, like, Himeko died, but, like, I would suffer too. Like, this is collateral damage. So, I don't want that to happen, but I also do want that to happen, if that makes sense. So, in all honesty, like, Hoyo, please don't do that. But at the same time, Hoyo, you have a golden opportunity there. Know that you can use it, but please don't use it, if that makes sense. Alright, yet another quick moment of a break, and I'm back to trying to rank these individuals again. And I'm seeing Asta and Arlan at the very bottom, and I'll be honest, immediately, I would be very tempted to put Arlan as a grunt, but in all honesty, Arlan would be at minimum an obstacle. And the reason why I want to classify him as an obstacle and not a grunt is because he actually is respected by people at Herta Space Station. Like, when you look at it, everybody calls him, like, Big Brother Arlan or Brother Arlan, I forget, but, like, he's actually respected, and, like, he does do good job at Herta Space Station. So, you do have to put some respect to his name. He, like, also, like, legitimately speaking, like, to be able to withstand the Antimatter Legion by himself, he is very much, like, strong on his own. Like, gameplay-wise, he might be a little bit awful, but, like, he can handle himself pretty well. It's also not his fault that he got absolutely annihilated in the beta, right? It was like, apparently, in the beta, he was really strong, and then he got both of his kneecaps fucking, like, annihilated, and he never recovered from that. That being said, I don't think Asta is a threat. Respectfully speaking. Next up is Herta, which I don't really know where to put her. I feel like because this is a puppet, which we do not know of. Okay, the real Herta would go on major threat. But this is a Herta puppet, which is disposable. Which I feel like, because it is a Herta puppet, meaning that there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of them, just makes her a grunt. That purely logically speaking, the fact that it is a puppet makes her a grunt. That's just, I don't make the rules. I also feel bad about this. A part of me wants to put Serval an obstacle, but realistically speaking, Serval makes amazing mechanical creations, to the point that I think her creations would work really well for supports. Like, she would be like a summoner of sorts, right? So I feel like she would go amazing in here, as opposed to, like, nothing there at all. Natasha's interesting. I genuinely have no idea where I would put Natasha. Natasha's a leader. Natasha likes to get her hands dirty. Natasha likes to actually fight. I'm gonna keep her for later because I genuinely do not know where I would actually put Natasha in. So for the time being, Sampo's a major threat because he's about to get his mask. He's a menace to society. Wherever he is, he's a master manipulator. So I feel like he might actually be really good to just wherever he goes. So I'm just scared. I'm scared for what Sampo might actually do. Su Shang. Okay, Su Shang. No, I feel like in a past life, I would have put her as a grunt, right? Because I don't think I've ever seen her do anything exceptional in the past. And then she 1v1'd Yanqing, and in particular, a Yanqing that was very reckless and was possessed by a Helioboy. So, because of that, I am actually gonna move her up to obstacle because I think she would actually put up a very decent fight, and I think she would be absolutely sick to fight. So, yeah. Speaking of that, Yanqing. Why can I not find Yanqing? Yanqing, especially after the 2.5 quest, highly deserves an endgame content position. Like, my guy popped off, he bloomed, and he deserves to be appreciated. Yanqing really just shows that he is a king. Like, my guy literally showed that he has potential. He is the definition of potential. And it makes me so happy that people are now appreciating him even more. And he really does need all the love and support that he deserves because, like, again, a lot of people really just kind of saw him as the one kid that would fight anything that moves. But no, like, legitimately, he is the one character that is trying to help Jin. Like, he's trying to alleviate the work for Jin Yuan. And he was fighting everybody not because he wants to fight, but because he's trying to actually improve. So as a whole, it wasn't him doing it for the sake of, oh, I'm a battle maniac. It's like, oh, I want to help the general. And I don't know, I definitely want to do a deeper dive into Yanqing in the future, and I'm planning to once I actually get better from this code. So yeah, definitely no, Yanqing immediately endgame content, absolutely amazing. Gotta adore him. And yeah, next one coming up is Clara, which in all honesty is essentially Mr. Zverup, which I feel like he got done, like, you know, both of them got done dirty. Similarly to Japard, just an obstacle, as sad as it is. So yeah, I just gotta put them in there. You know what? And then we have Sela. Sela is a major threat. Just, she can go invisible. She can absolutely destroy people. She's been part of the resistance for God knows how long, and she's been popping off. I feel like she's definitely somebody that you need to be very wary of. So I would definitely consider her to be a major threat. And you know what? You know who I'm spotting in the list that I completely forgot about? Yukong, who completely retired from fighting, so immediately not a threat. And speaking as well of characters that I'm spotting out of the corner of my eye, I'm spotting Jin Yuan, which, you know, endgame content, which also means Jing Liu, endgame content. And you know who else? Fei Xiao, endgame content, because these individuals essentially have the same power level, and they are horrifying. And if we ever have to fight Lightning Lord, that is gonna be very scary. I do not wish that upon my greatest enemy, but that would also be, genuinely speaking, that would also be a great and sick boss fight. Also, you know what? Looking at the list, if we ever have to fight March 7th, the quote-unquote mascot of Star Rail, I think that would be traumatic. If we have to hurt March 7th, that would be traumatic as hell. Now, like, both of these, mother and daughter, immediately into the traumatic side of the tier list. I'm finalizing that decision. So yeah, right. Let's see. Who else do we have here? You know what? I'm surprised. We have barely like we have only put Silverwolf into the tier list when there are three other Stellaron Hunters. Which, you know what? Respectfully, I feel like I should just put them already in major threats. Just immediately one, two, three, boom, and I put them in endgame content because that really is what they are. Although to be fair, like, okay, ever since Apocalyptic Shadow came out, okay, normally I feel like Kafka would have gone here in obstacle, and then they made Apocalyptic Shadow Kafka, and then Apocalyptic Shadow Kafka went to major threat into fucking endgame content after it had to do like combat for people, and it was horrifying. So, once I have to do Apocalyptic Shadow, like Fei Xiao or like any of these individuals, it's gonna be horrifying. It's gonna be scary. It is something that I am not looking forward to. So I'm very scared is what I'm trying to say. Um anyways, moving on. I also feel like there I feel like there's been a lot of end game content characters, and I might have to desaturate. I feel like there's definitely other characters that I can put in other tier lists. I feel like I'm just going through a lot of DPS characters. So you know what? I feel like I'm like I've whittled down the category slowly but surely. So for example, right, like Robin, I don't think they are a threat. Now, this could also be my bias speaking because I feel like she had the chance to stop Sunday and she got trapped. So, I don't know. I don't feel like her contribution in the storyline was super impactful. Like, she did do a few good things, but I don't think she was able to actually do anything to defend herself. I don't know. So, I'm just kind of on the fence about that. Similarly, like Topaz, I think she would be an amazing support because Topaz mentioned how her cornerstone is not really combat based, but she has an amazing knack for other situations. So I feel like she would definitely be good at supportive combat rather than actual combat, if that makes sense. Hence why I want to put her alongside all the supportive units. Uh, you know what? At the same time, I feel like that would be the same case with Black Swan. I don't think we've actually seen no, we did see Black Swan in combat when she stopped the memory zone meme, but then she was more supporting us from the sidelines when we were in the Reverie Hotel. Hence why I feel like I want to put her as a support as opposed to an actual damaging character. Also, her whole kit is just very supportive. Hence why, again, maybe it's just the bias speaking. So I'm just gonna leave it at that. Ooh, you know who immediately also came to mind right now? I'm gonna put these two as a combo, right? Moze and Jiaoqiu. But specifically, these two would be together. And I'm binding the two of them as a combo. The reason being is because even though I know Moze could do absolutely amazing on his own and he could easily delete many people just because he's an assassin and he does, the dirty work for Fei Xiao. You know what immediately came into my mind when Jiaoqiu, by the way, spoilers, 1, 2, 3, when Jiaoqiu lost his vision, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Remember when Colonel Mustang loses his vision and Risa Hawkeye helps him aim his shots? Yeah, that is just something that came into my mind. Just Moze being his eyes and Jiaoqiu kind of helping with supports. But that is why I feel like I cannot put them in two different areas. Like, Jiaoqiu would need to have someone there, and I feel like the only person that he could trust would be Moze. So, yeah, I'm just putting. That's the only reason why Jiaoqiu is not on support. He's going to be in major threat, or vice versa. I would put both of them in supports rather than major threats. But I feel like with the amount of power that they both have, I feel like it would be best to just have them there. There's also the reason, right? Like, we literally heard from Jiaoqiu that he has like medicines that if you add a little bit too much, they become literal toxins. So at that point, I feel like it is more of a major threat kind of moment than an actual, like, than an actual words. Yeah, than an actual support. So as a whole, I'm just horrified. At this point as well, I feel like I'm just gonna put here in major threats, Adventurine, Boothill. I'm gonna put in Yunli. All these characters have come out. They're amazing DPS. Adventurine we have had as a boss fight, so I know for a fact that he can absolutely delete people. And you know what? I'm gonna go on a quick tangent because while we don't have a boss fight for Boothill and Yunli, we do have a boss fight for Adventurine, and my goodness me, the people that have complained about the Adventurine boss fight has been absolutely freaking insane. I'm so surprised by the amount of people that complain about the Adventurine boss fight, but also by the teams that people have brought into that boss fight. And the reason I am surprised by those teams is because some of them were concerning. I love how the community denoted them as TikTok teams, but also in hindsight, right? How did they get to this point in the story? Like, really look into it, right? Like, they had to use these teams to beat Stellaron Hunter Sam and succeeded. They had to use this team to beat the Ebondeer, who heals, and succeeded. They had to use this against Cocolia, like Fentilia, and succeeded. Like, do you understand where my concern starts to grow into like a little bit of respect? I'm both horrified as to how these people exist. I feel like a lot of them are memes, but at the same time, like there has to be one person there that wasn't shitting them, right? Right? I don't know. I'm confused is what I'm trying to explain. But anyways, moving on. Alright. We're on the final stretch, and hopefully my voice will be able to withstand the remaining parts of this. You know what? Immediately I'm just gonna put Rappa alongside with Woodhill, because I'm assuming that, they're both Galaxy Rangers, therefore they have to be on the same level. We also have Anemone Nature here, which is, acheron, which already immediately labels her as endgame content. I don't think anyone is going to be debating that. And that leaves us with very few options. Natasha, after a lot of thinking, she has a gun. Does that make her be any more dangerous than any other unit? I don't think so. I'm just gonna put her as a grunt, I'll be honest. And Luocha, there has been the rumor that he could potentially be the emanator of abundance, and there's been a lot of secrecy regarding his character, so I'm gonna treat him as an endgame character because I am very much scared. Luca is coming up next, and I'll be honest, this latest event has made me like him a lot more. Before, in the past, he would have been a grunt. He has leveled up since to an obstacle because I feel like I do respect him a lot more. Like, in the past, I feel like he definitely would have been a character that I would have looked at him and I would have been like, oh yeah, he doesn't give up, but he was still getting wrecked. To, no, yeah, even even if he gets wrecked, he's still gonna stand up and beat the shit out of you, and like he's still gonna persevere and be happy, and like he's still gonna keep on fighting you regardless. And I don't know. I feel like I'm like not really expressing myself too well because the head is a bit loopy, but I don't know. Like this new event has given me a lot more respect for Luca. I feel like he has been able to hold his ground better against other enemies. In particular, the way that he was able to withstand well against Budhill until Budhill got a little bit too trigger happy, definitely makes me respect him a lot more. So therefore, he goes into the obstacle tier list where he would be a fun boss fight to go against, but I feel like Hoyoverse would overuse it a little bit too much. Finally, we have Lynx, the last Landau sibling, which I would love to put them all together in here. And okay, I feel like Lynx would not be a threat, right? Absolutely never would be a threat. What is Lynx gonna do, right? That being said, in a perfect world, in a beautiful world, in the best case scenario, I would love to have a 4v4. A 4v4 where they grab Japard, Lynx, Serval, and I'm missing a Landau sibling. Not a Landau sibling. I'm missing quote unquote sibling. And Pela. And they make these four individuals be a boss fight together as a quote unquote family, because Pela's not really a family member of the Landau, but she's kind of just there because like they really appreciate her. And then have them be a team fight against our 4-on-4. I think it would be sick. I think it would be really cool. It would be an interesting boss fight to just have us experience at least once. I don't think Hoyoverse would ever make us do that. That's why I'm also decided to put them here temporarily in the doesn't exist category, because I don't think that this would ever happen. So yeah, but also yeah, for that reason, I am going to put Lynx instead of not a threat. I'm gonna put her in the supports area because that is my wishful thinking. Even though I'm pretty sure that's not gonna happen. Also, speaking of sports, we know, of course, Lady Fu Xuan is gonna go in support because of how her kit works. Guinaifen is a character that I adore. It's a character that I have been a huge fan since the game released, and I feel like I wanted to put her as a grunt the moment that I saw her, right? And I even debated putting her as like not a threat, but then I kind of thought about it, and I'm like, this woman handles explosives. She handles a lot of tricks. She handles swords. Like if you look at her eidolons, she handles a lot of things that could be potential weapons. And she's very skilled at things. So it's interesting. I feel like Guinaifen might be someone that you're going to underestimate, and then you're gonna get your ass beaten by her. So I'm actually gonna go as far as to put her into an obstacle, because she is going to she's going to catch you by surprise, and that is her advantage. Also, it might be because I have been playing Legends of Runeterra, the card game, and there's this one card called Combat Cooks that is just literally people that improvise weapons, and they're just very fun individuals. And yeah, that's kind of the inspiration for me to just like move Guinaifen way higher than she probably should be, but it's too funny for me to not put Guinaifen way high up, because like just imagining her beating the shit out of people is way too much, and there's way too much enjoyment in that for me to not put her up there. Anyways, up next, there is Hanya, and Hanya and Shui, which I think are gonna be my hottest takes of the video yet. And I'm probably gonna get a little bit of hate for these two. Hanya is not a threat, and Shui is just a grunt, respectfully. And the reason I say this is because Shui just constantly dies on a daily basis, and Shui constantly drinks to forget about that. So, I don't think Hanya is in a good physical form in order to actually be able to be in a combat status to do that. And Shui is just she's a good fighter. Like, I'll give her that. But I don't think she would be that good. Like, I'm tempted to move her as an obstacle because I feel like she would just revive so often to the point that, sure, she could just be like a funny gimmick character, but I don't know. I'm not feeling that like that much power from Shui to even though Shui absolutely does a lot of damage in game. Like, I have a build Shui that does like really good damage. In lore, I feel like ever since 2.4, like, that is the only reason why I have moved Tanya lower than she should have been. So yeah, I don't really know about that one anymore, Chief. So sadly, for the time being, I'm gonna put Shui over there because I feel like, also in particular with Hanya, right? The reason why I'm putting her not a threat is because I feel like if the opponent is a Heliobi, she can immediately get rid of them. But if they're not a Heliobi, then I feel like she doesn't have the tools to actually deal with them. At least that is my understanding on things. If that's not the case, then I completely like messed it up, and that is entirely on me, and I'm sorry for slandering Hanya's good name. So yeah, I apologize. Anyways, we're moving in on the final 4 characters, which I feel like a lot of these don't really need that much explanation because, well, you know, Ranmei is doing a lot of illegal experiments with Aeons, and she, I feel like, wants to become an Aeon, so that is some endgame content kind of shenanigans. Jade is one of the heads of the IPC, but not Diamond, hence why major threat. Sparkle, well, we know what she does. She's a support, she's a menace to society. Also, she could just trick you and make a lot of like different little clone solutions and just be a very obnoxious like character to deal with. Hence why I feel like she would just be an amazing support to just like be like, she would be an amazing support for the enemy team and a very obnoxious one for us to deal with as the player. And Lingsha. Yeah, I have no idea what to do with Lingsha. I did not really, again, I didn't do the 2.5 storyline. I know a few key bits and pieces, and she hasn't released yet, so I don't know anything about the lore. So I'm just gonna put her on doesn't exist in my mind. So yeah, this is the tier list. Let me know with what you agree and with what you disagree down in the comments below. I know that this is probably going to incite a lot of chaos and a lot of problems down for me, but you know what? This is my opinion, and if you think that I'm wrong, that's perfectly fine. Yeah, I don't know. I just decided that this would be a funny little video to make. I also felt like this would be a video that is a little bit more simple to edit in comparison to an actual in-depth, whatchamacallit, like video explanation with research and all of that. Because yeah, like I'm sick. So yeah. If you enjoy this sort of content and you might maybe want to see another cheerless video when I'm not actually sick, definitely hit that subscribe button, give a like to this video, drop a comment down below, tell me that I'm wrong if I have slandered your character, or tell me that I'm right if you agree with my opinions. And let me know what your takes would be for some of these characters. I would definitely love to know where you would place some of these characters. But yeah, with all that being said, thank you very much for watching this video. I do not know if I made the sub plug, but yeah, like, subscribe to the channel. It's free, it only takes a second. It really helps us out a lot. We're on our way of 3,000 right now. So yeah, have a great rest of your day, night, morning, whatever time zone applies to you all, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.